Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Ron Cunningham. And I have some very exciting guests here with me this morning. I'm delighted to meet them, and I'm going to let you meet them in a few minutes. But right now, I want to say a few things about Black History Month. Black History Month was started by Carter G. Woodson. He's the father of Black History Month. Originally, it was a Black History Week, but then it evolved into a month. And the President Gerald Ford in 1976 made it, sent a proclamation, made it for one whole month. Now, some people argue, well, yeah, they gave us Black History Month in February, but that's the shortest month of the week, fellas. I said, well, that's the reason for it be called Black History Month, Ms. Sturdivant. The reason for it be called Black History Month is because it's in honor of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. They were both born in the month of February. So that's why it's been held in February. And I just want you guys to know that a lot of contributions were made by Black folks that was never recognized. And I did a little research, and I found some things out that I didn't know. Let me share some with you.
Yes.
But before I do this, I want you all to know that this, as a host of the show, I'm proudly like to announce that this show is produced and directed by Mr. Rocco Strangio's media class. Very intelligent young people. It gives me hope for America. You know what I mean? It gives me hope for America.
That's right.
Yes. And also, I'd like to thank the Niagara Falls Board of Education members. Too numerous to mention. They do a good job. They watch the budget, keep things afloat. And Niagara Falls ain't doing too bad. We got nice schools, got our own studio, ran by Mr. Rocco Strangio and his students. And also, I'm broadcasting out of the Black Box Studio.
The Black Box.
Yeah, how fitting for Black History Month.
Yes, sir.
So at this time, as I thank the Board of Education members and our superintendent of schools, our illustrious leader, Mr. Mark Laurie, and as well as you, the parents and students, but also, last but not least, the taxpayers.
Yes, sir.
Who pay that money to make things happen. You know, they say money and everything, but to me, sometimes it's right up there with oxygen, wouldn't you say?
Yes, sir.
Right up there with oxygen. Okay, now, at this time, I'd like to say a few things about some of the inventors. Now, they got some people that invented things I didn't even know about. For instance, Sarah Boone, a Black woman, invented the ironing board. Jan E. Metzer, a Black man, invented the shoe-lasting machine. Walter Simmons, a Black man, invented the comb. You know that comb that naps out your hair and style it? Yeah,
comb,
he did that. Lydia O. Newman, a Black female, invented the hairbrush.
That brush.
That's why you got the waves in your head, Mr. James. Madam C.J. Walker, a Black woman, invented hair care and makeup products for women. And she's the first Black millionaire, I believe. Lived right up around Rockefeller.
Okay.
You know, tough woman. Lloyd O'Ray, a Black man, invented the dustpan in which to put garbage. A Black man invented a dustpan. So anybody, you got to work for something, you better try to find something to make it easier for you.
Yes, sir.
Thomas W. Stewart, a Black man, invented the mop. George T. Selman, a Black man, invented the clothes dryer. I never knew that. Did you guys?
No.
I never knew that.
No.
John Love, a Black man, invented the pencil sharpener.
That pencil sharpener.
Yeah.
Got it right.
William Purvis, a Black man, invented the fountain pen. Lee Burge, a Black man, invented the typewriting machine. A. Lovett, a Black man, advanced the printing press to what it is today. John Burr, a Black man, invented the lawnmower to cut grass. I know all about that lawnmower. Richard Spikes, a Black man, invented the automatic gear shift in cars. Joseph Gamble, a Black man, invented the supercharged system for internal combustion engines in cars. Now, I never knew that. Did you guys?
No.
Garrett A. Morgan, a Black man, invented the traffic light.
That traffic light.
Yeah.
Stop.
John Standard, a Black man, invented the refrigerator.
Ooh, store
Keep
your
food cold. Don't let it spoil. Alice Parker, a Black woman, invented the heating furnace to warm homes during the cold winter and fall. Let me repeat this, because I could use another furnace problem. Alice Parker, a black woman, invented the heating furnace to warm homes during the cold winter and fall. Frederick Jones, a black man, invented the air conditioner to cool homes during the long, hot summers.
Some hot summers.
Frederick, I didn't know that. Albert Robinson, a black man, invented the electric trolley. Alexander Miles, a black man, invented the elevator. Kick you up and down.
Go up to that upper room.
Yeah. Philip Dowling, a black man, invented the letter drop mailbox. Okay. William Barry, a black man, invented the post marketing and canceling machine. Lewis Howard Latimer, a black man, invented the filament within a light bulb. He invented the filament. You know, we hear about Allen Graham Bell and all those guys, and Edison and all, but I never heard of this guy. Now, Dr. Charles Drew, a black man, invented a method to preserve and store blood, which led to his starting the first world blood bank.
Okay.
Wow. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, a black man, performed the world's first, my God, open heart surgery.
Ooh.
Man, so that's just a few things that we did. There's a lot more.
Yes, sir.
We can hear about it later. Do your own research. So right now, I like to do some fantastic men. They are involved with the Morning Motivation podcast.
Yes, sir.
To my immediate left, Mr. Antoine White.
How you doing?
Also a member of the STUG program. That means, is that gun spelled backwards?
Guns spelled backwards. Should not use guns.
All right. Eric James, Morning Motivation.
That's right.
So,
E&J
gentlemen,
Motivational Service.
That's right. I'm so glad to have you guys on here. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Anton White. Tell me a few things about yourself.
Oh, I'm originally from Buffalo. I moved here like 20-something years ago. I was planning to stay here about 6 months, and I ended up staying the past 20 years. It's a place that gave me another opportunity to reinvest in myself. It's given me a new lease on life, and I couldn't say that I'm more proud and happy to be from originally from Buffalo, but I can proud to say that I'm originally from Niagara Falls because I've been here over 20 years now.
Okay. So you're a veteran here now?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. All right, Mr. Eric James.
Yes, sir. How you
Who
doing?
I've known most of your life.
Yes, you have.
Tell me a few things about yourself that you'd
Oh,
like to
man.
share with the
Listen, boy.
listening public.
Man, first off, my name is Eric James, born and raised in Niagara Falls, New York. Born in Center Court, raised in Jordan Gardens, brought up on Highland Avenue, went over the bridge to Midtown, went all the way to the Dirty East with Mr. Cunningham as my manager. I started a rap crew in the Niagara Falls area called the City Crew. Well, we started performing, opening up concerts, promoting rap music instead of violence. It was taking us away from the violence of the streets. We started doing rapping at field dances, at the Monte Carlo, at the Heather Hall, at the Langston Hughes in Buffalo. We did the Fresh Fest concert in Buffalo at the auditorium. There's a lot of things that I put Niagara Falls on my back, and I was in a lot of trouble in Niagara Falls. I did a lot of wrong stuff in Niagara Falls. Being from here, I was brought up by a single mother, Gussie Mae James. My mother, strong, God-fearing woman, believed in church and religion, believed in doing the right thing for the right reason. But as a teenager and as a young boy, I drifted off course, started to do it my own way, Mr. Cunningham.
Well, we know about that.
Yes, and I got my pain, and I I've learned a lot of things. So I came up, and because I did a lot of trouble and destruction in Niagara Falls, I want to be one of the ones that help put motivation back in Niagara Falls. So that's why we started Morning Motivation Podcast, because it was exciting.
Last week, on Wednesday, I had a very good time at your podcast. We covered a lot of topics. What I want to ask you is, Antoine, tell me something about the SNUG program, which is, you said gun spelled backwards. Tell me what that consists of.
It was a program that was instituted into New York State by our Governor Kathy Hochul back in 2009. We have 14 sites throughout New York State. Niagara Falls and Utica is the two newest sites that has been opened. My home agency is the Community Missions Incorporation at 1570 Buffalo Avenue. We are a branch of Community Missions. The SNUG site is located at 1702 Pine Avenue, where the old DiCamello's Bakery used to be at. We have a programming manager who goes by the name of Brian, as well as the supervisor, which is me. Then we have three amazing outreach workers, Shante McTeer, Tommy Sanders Jr., and Gregory Palmer. And we have a wonderful, amazing social worker by the name of Jackie. Our whole objective with the SNUG program is, the three main objectives that we try to show as well as implement in people's lives, as well as the city. We're here to reduce crime. And how do we do that? We do that by mediating conflict. And who do we work with? We work with the highest risks of individuals that are at risk of shooting someone or getting shot themselves.
I know you guys are always on the scene. Eric,
Yes, sir.
let me ask you a question. What do you think are the challenges here in the city of Niagara Falls? I remember we ran the Monte Carlo. I used to run that. We used to start about 11, let out at 6. Totally participate. In participation was young people.
Mm-hmm.
Off at 6, the staff would walk a couple blocks down. They got no trouble. We always, I don't know how we managed it, but the Lord blessed us. We never had any serious problems. And you were one of the security, and you also performed. You and Pat Ball.
Yes, sir.
And the Monte Carlo was around for several years. It was known all over the state.
Yes, sir.
In the inner city communities, and we had a lot of people from Buffalo, Lockport, all over the state.
Yes, sir.
But I just want to ask you this: what do you think are the challenges for young people these days?
Well, first off, it's a lot of depression and dark cloud over Niagara Falls. I believe, and that's why Morning Motivation and E&J Motivational Service came about, was because it gives young people motivation to be who they want to be and not who they pretend to be. See, a lot of young people pretend to be these rappers like Lil Wayne and Jeezy and all these little rappers that rap all that gangster stuff and gun toting and all of that because they got millions and millions of dollars. They can say that type of stuff and they can live the way they live. But for us growing up in the inner city, we don't have that type of money. We don't have that type of lifestyle. So we try to find it. So it's a dark cloud. So when you get motivated, excited, and enthused about your life and being okay with being who you are, not trying to be somebody else, I think that's one of the problems that we have is everybody want to be somebody else and not be their original self. And that's why our E&J Motivational Services is for equality and justice for all. So you can be who you are. My motivation is to allow people to be exactly who you are and not profess to be anybody else but who you are. Because when you be your original self, you won't be bullied, you won't be trying to fit in. And that's what's going on. People hanging out on corners. Remember how we used to do it back in the day? We used to hang out, but there was a lot of activity going on. And we had a lot of stuff to do. Center, the community center, the Boys and Girls Club, the parks, the field dances, the turtle, the black experiences, those type of things we had to do, boxing, track 2, the 13th Street Center. We have things that we can get involved with other kids our age, and we can build with them. Today, the only building that the kids is doing today is with how many guns they can get. Who got the biggest gun? They're not taking losses. They don't want to fight anymore. They want to shoot you. So what we're trying to do is uplift the community with some motivation, excitement, and enthusiasm, and to let some young people be motivated, excited, and enthused about their life where they can share it with the next young people, and everybody can be just excited about living.
Thank you, Eric. Mr. White, I understand that we have a lot of young people running around here with smartphones.
Yeah.
What seems to be the problem I see? With, there's a significant number. We have some great kids, don't get me wrong, but there's a significant number of people, young people, who seem to be quite disrespectful. Could you allude to that? And I know that when I went to New York City several years ago, when the SNUG was active back there in New York City, and I had to meet with some people. It said upward peace, downward guns. Upward peace, downward guns. That was a slogan. Yeah. What do you think is where are these guns coming from, and why do you think all the violence is occurring now?
I mean, all of the violence is occurring throughout the city. I mean, a lot of it came from the pandemic. Once the world had shut down for the past couple of years, a lot of people had a lot of time on their hands. A lot of people were, depressed and cooped up in the house, and, everything was shut down. So, other people had to find other outlets. A lot of people were, angry and upset that a lot of people were losing loved ones and family and friends, as well as losing their homes and their jobs and everything because of the pandemic. So, a lot of people resorted to, their survival tactics. And I think that's what has eventually has caused the rise of the violence going on, not only in our city, in the Cataract City, but throughout America, and then, I was in a place during this pandemic, and I was talking to my brother on the phone, and he said that, he was trying to get some things up and going and running. And I said, well, what are you trying to do? And he told me that he was going to, get a motivational company. And I said, well, save me a spot. And so when I, came back and re-enter into his life, it gave me the opportunity of opening the door for BABL, Build a Better Life Motivational Service. And then we collaborated together with the Entrepreneur School of Thought, and we did an interview on Black Reality Unscripted with Dante Mauser, councilman of the city of Niagara Falls. And we talked about, putting something together, and then the president, Trent Hamilton, he came up with an idea, and Morning Motivation was created, and me and my brother took off from there, and that has given us a platform to be able to address, the violence, the mental health issues, the substance abuse, and as well as, trying to, help guide the youth in a different direction so that they can see a better version of themselves, so that they don't have to be, what people want them to be, that they can be themselves, like my brother was just talking about. So, so it's real important that we, pay attention and focus on what's going on with these youth, because I think the biggest thing that these youth really want is to be listened to.
Mm-hmm. Eric,
Yes, sir.
Question. I've noticed a lot of the games that parents buy for children. I'm very, very violent.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things I've seen some of them, and one of the things I noticed that they're very realistic.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they can have people that shooting each other, looking like somebody. If you want to shoot a person, you could even put that kind of image on your screen. And also, like somebody's house, they could end up making the house similar to that, have blown up.
Yes, sir.
Do you think these violent games have anything to do with young folks, the violence that's been instituted by some of the young people, the violence that's been carried out. Do you think the games has anything to do with their psyche?
Well, Mr. Cunningham, it's funny that you said that, and then you went into all of the things that black men and black women on Black History Month had discovered. And there's a lot of black and brown and people of color who's getting sponsored by a lot of these games like Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto and all of these type of things, and it looks fun. Okay, get sponsored, get a lot of money, get on a game. You put Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl player for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Jalen Hurts, you can put them on the game and let them run around and play. And for a kid, a little guy from the ghetto, from the hood, it looks fun. But in reality, you put a gun in Patrick Mahomes' hands and you have him go shoot Jalen Hurts on the game, and it looks real. So now you start living out that. You start becoming wanting to be that, because parents ain't policing their children on these games. They're not talking to them about, yo, you know, that's just a game. That's just make-believe. And some of these kids get so in tune to the game that they think it's real. And they become it, and the game will become them. And so a lot of times what happens is you get vigilante kids running around and don't know what they're doing, but go home, shut the door, and they talking to people on this microphone, and they saying F you or cuss words with each other. Parents don't know what the kids are saying, and I know because I went on the game with my son, and a 4-year-old, 5-year-old guy was talking about F you, and I'm like, who is you? Why is you saying that? And this is a 5-year-old child, 6-year-old child, and I'm asking him, where's your parents at? And he said, my parents are asleep. They're drinking. They're partying, and I'm in the room doing what I'm doing. And I'm like, well, my son is not finna talk to you anymore because he don't want to talk to you because he got off the phone and told me that the guy was cussing. The little kid was cussing. So I picked up the headphones to hear. And what I heard was like a child, 5 years old, swearing as if he was a sailor. And I said to my son, anytime you hear him on your game, you click him off, because they got the power to click him off or leave that party. So people don't understand. You don't tell your children that. Instead, some children will go back to back arguing, and then they'll take it out on their little brother, or they'll take it out on their parents and not listen and become rebellious. And then you start kids now on the streets with these games from these games, and you wonder how they get violent. So these games is realistic. These games will cause kids to remember how we used to be when we was younger. We watched WWF.
Yeah.
We used to watch Hulk Hogan, Bob Backlund, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Ric Flair, and we used to want to be them. And we would go outside and wrestle like them. The 5 deadly venoms, Scorpio, Toad, Snake. We'd go outside and start trying to do their moves on people. Not knowing that that was a movie, but it was a movie designed to do something to us, to make us different, violent, aggressive. We was already being aggressive in the household because mom was whooping us with stitching cords and things of that nature, so we became violent children. So these children today need to be more observed and watch when you think they're going in a room to play the game. Watch your children. You still supposed to parent your children while they're playing the game, because if you don't know what that game is creating on that child.
I think the games, would you say that sort of desensitizes our youth?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So when they shoot somebody, it's like part of the game.
It's part of it.
Now, I talked to my son, Black Early, the comedian, about that, and we had a discussion. He said, games may or may not be the problem, but he says, when you buy them games, you explain to them, now, when you shoot somebody, you going to face some charges, and there's jail and there's bail. You go into jail if you shoot somebody, 9 times out of 10. And when you go to jail, you're going to have a bail. Now, mom and daddy may not have that money, or mommy may not have the money to get you out. So remember, this is just a game. And so, as a consequence of this, you need to really talk to them. And what's wrong with sit down there and watch them games with your kids and explain to them, now, this is just a game. You can't go out shooting people. This is just something to play with.
See, what our parents, Mr. Cunningham, used to tell us, our parents used to say one of the commandments, God's commandments, was thou shalt not kill. You shall not kill or take a life. The only one that could take a life is God. I mean, it's a power greater than you. You don't have the power. And God don't forgive if you commit suicide or if you take another person's life. So mama told me that. So that's why I never touched a gun, because I didn't want that ultimate sin, thou shalt not kill.
You, with Stug, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Where are these guns coming from, man? Do you have any idea? Does the police have any idea? Where are these guns coming from?
I mean, that's an ongoing thing that we're trying to, stay in the solution of trying to, they got the gun buyback initiative program, and all of those things, man. Listen, instead of us, the real question is where the guns is really coming from. They're coming from the manufacturers. That's where they're coming from.
Okay.
That's where they're coming from, because if these manufacturers continue to keep making these guns and then they get out there into the public and society, then when one person get a gun and then these stores and they sell these just like the God bless the soul of all of those people who lost their lives up at Tops. Like, we're talking about a kid who was able to go inside of a store at the age of 18 and purchase a semi-automatic rifle, and then live streamed it. You know what I'm saying? With this, so there's a lot of things that we got to take hold of and become accountable. And I'm talking about, and we need to hold these companies that are in charge, of like the internet and these social media platforms that allow this type of stuff to go on their platforms, when they know that violence is being simulated in any way, shape, form, or fashion, and that needs to cut it off. You know what I mean? So the main people that needs to be accountable for this is those people that are allowing this stuff to go on, and the parents need to step up to the plate and do their job and be the responsible parents that they need, so the kids don't continue to keep doing what they're doing.
I know we have a lot of single heads of household. And I don't know how many more minutes we got on that. How many more minutes do we have, young ladies? How many more? 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Whoa, time is flying.
Yes,
But
sir.
let me say this to you.
Young lady.
How do
and
you
man.
think what we could do to stop the violence? What do you, anybody have any suggestions?
Programs.
Well, one thing that I do believe in is if we keep being a vision, we keep being examples of the power, being powerful examples, just showing them what they can be where we came from. Like, where we came from, we can show them that they don't have to stay there, that there's a way out of there. So we got to show them it ain't scary to be a nerd in school. It ain't being a sucker to let somebody walk away. You're not being a coward if you turn the other cheek. See, sometimes we have to encourage them that it's best to walk away than to start a war. Guns was meant for war. They're not meant for the streets, for disputements. Well, people fight and they have disagreements and things of that nature. But when you go get a gun, you are promoting war. So we don't want to promote war. We're not telling you to get along with everybody. But if you are seeing that this situation is escalating to becoming war, then you move away from the war. So stop getting guns, y'all. We don't need guns. We need to give each other motivation. We need to give each other excitement. We need to give each other enthusiasm. We need to help fan the flame to the young people that they can be the next Black History Month a person who can discover something, man. Thank you, young people, for growing up and being the best persons that y'all can be.
With that in mind, let me say this to you. We're about to wrap up this program. And look here, Antoine White and Eric James, it's been a pleasure having you on Let's Talk About It.
Let's talk about
Yeah,
it.
it's been great. And so I want you all to say this one thing. Peace up, guns down.
Peace up.
Guns down. Have a great day.
Let's
and
talk
look forward.
about it.
Yes, that's what you want. Let's talk about it. And thank you guys for showing up. It's
Thank
been a
you,
pleasure.
Mr.
It's been a
Cunningham,
pleasure
for
having you on
having
the
us.
show. Mr. Strangio,
Appreciate you.
your class is marvelous. You did a great job. Thank you for
Thank
filming.
you.
All
Thank
right.
you guys. Okay.
All right.
Thank you guys and the young man and the young woman.
Yeah.